Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Boogeyman Radio. I am Dave, and Charles is still easy.
I'm still easy.
He'll never stop being easy.
Takes a lot to be this cheesy and easy. Great song.
Take it easy. Hey, don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy.
If they're squeaky, I do.
Guys, tonight we are going to be talking some conspiracy.
Yes.
False flag events.
As voted on by
yes.
you guys.
Our Patreon poll was up last week, and you all voted, and y'all are getting what you wanted, which was a conspiracy topic.
Yep.
And you know, this one actually came to me because I was kind of thumbing through some YouTube channels. I was like, yeah, this would be awesome to kind of cover.
Yeah.
And the thing about this one, though, is like it's part conspiracy and part truth.
Yes. Absolutely. Like, there's some things we'll be talking about that were 100% proven to be real false flags, and then some that are we don't know. They're just some people that think it's false flags. So
just conspiracies stuff we'll talk about. We'll throw it out there. You know,
there's a reason why it's a conspiracy, guys. Come on.
Yes.
Reasons.
So Charles, my man.
Yep.
How was your week, bud?
Oh, my week was solid.
Solid.
So happy to be out of the heat for a while. No, this is how you catch arkancidal flu. Sure, whatever that is.
Arkancidal. I'm guessing it's an Arkansas flu.
That's
the
my
Clinton,
guess.
The Clintons, maybe. I don't know.
Yes. Okay, that's a good point. Very good point. Yes. I didn't think about that. Get Clinton. Which, I mean, I don't know if you saw this. Speaking of, real quick before we get in to our how the week was and stuff like that.
Or banter.
It came out that Ghislaine Maxwell's cellmate was offered payment to kill her.
Yes, I had seen that. I'm like, oh, we all knew it was coming.
Oh yeah. That's why so many people were like, "Oh, she didn't kill herself." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
maybe we should start posting that, guys. I'm gonna start a meme. Follow us on if you haven't followed us on Boogeyman Radio on our Facebook page or Twitter. Do so. I'm gonna start a meme. I'm gonna make a meme saying she didn't kill herself already, and we're gonna just start spreading it already.
So far behind, but sure, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I saw that and I was just like, "Huh, well, go figure." Knew that was coming.
Yeah. I mean, if we have the meme up already, she hasn't killed herself yet. We'll be ahead of the game a little bit.
That's very true. Or she won't be ahead. But aside from that, my week's been pretty good. I'm ready for the cool down that's coming this week. Also, I
you get a cool down.
We were supposed to be. Yes, Monday is supposed to be like 82.
It's Monday.
Next Monday.
Oh damn, that's like way out there.
Well, hey, I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
But I went and played mini golf yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Had a blast doing that. I love mini golf. Won all three, I guess you'd say, rounds or whatever it was. So it was great. Had a good time, and I wasn't trying to win on purpose. It was kind of weird because it was it was mini golf mixed with mini games. Some stuff, so there were two courses. There was a red and a blue course. The blue was the hardest one. That was a lot of fun. The red one was a very basic, nice, fun course. And then there was an adult 9-hole course, and the adult ones had mini games on it, which was a lot of fun. What's up, Cassie? So yeah, it was a great time. Had a blast. But yeah, I'm ready for the cool down. Get back on my bike because 100-something heat index is way too hot for me to ride my motorcycle. So
it's way too hot. Period.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Can we just have fall and winter?
That's all I want. Literally all I care.
With a little sprinkle of spring.
Yes.
That's it.
I just need that little 2 weeks of spring. I'll be the happiest person alive.
Yeah.
That's it.
Is-
That's all I need.
Shit, like 1 week into summer, I'm like, God damn, I wish it was winter again.
There was no spring. It was just like a fall style weather, and then boom, 90. Like what?
Yep.
Where'd this come from? But I mean, it was pretty wet there for a little while. We got, but we've been very, I will say, spoiled these past 5 years. We haven't really experienced major hot summers.
No, like I think it was 2 or 3 summers ago. It was pretty fucking hot.
Well, yeah, but not as
Whenever
hot as this.
Whenever I was helping put the roof on the front part of John's house, like it was like 100 degrees outside.
Well,
man.
I think we've been consecutive 100 heat index of 100 past like over a week at least each day.
Last year was nice. We didn't really get hot. That was great.
It was very amazing.
This year it already blows.
I agree, Cassie. Summer definitely blows. Absolutely. But other than that, yeah, I'm ready for the cool down. I'm kind of scared for what July has to offer. I'm hoping we get hit with heat early and then July is mild, but we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, how's your week? I know you've been dealing with some house sitting duties.
Oh my God.
And
Been so bored. Been so bored. Yeah, I've been house sitting since Wednesday of last week, and tomorrow's my last day house sitting.
Woo!
I can finally be home in my own bed and
Back to normality.
Yeah, back to normality. Did do some things. Since there's some people in here, I will let you guys know here in a few minutes. I'm going to be announcing another speaker at the Haunting History Paracon.
Yes.
I'll tell you guys
I
who
still
that is.
don't know. Dave wouldn't tell me, so
I did not.
Quite special.
I actually literally set it up last night. I will give you a clue. This person has a TV show coming out this year on, I think, either Discovery or Travel.
Cool. I'm excited.
Which is Discovery Network. But
so it's not Zach Bagans? What the? I'm kidding. It's fine. And something I did see. KC Paracons, I think, have been canceled now for.
Oh yeah, it's been
indefinitely.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying indefinitely. Like they canceled this year's, but I think from now on.
Until Acoustic takes it over.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking too. But yeah, it's a
Jason, if you're listening, brother,
we need you.
Do it.
Keep the paranormal thing alive in Kansas City.
Yes. Oh yes.
Other than that, what else happened? That was just, yeah.
Just been chit chatting with a bunch of people. You know, Spurrier and stuff like that. Austin Maynard was chatting with him. Hey, Spurrier and Jay Prather have a new box that is coming out. There's a severely limited number, and they're only going up on auction.
So it's not even a set price.
No, I think there's going to be a base price on it, but they have this box coming out for auction. I think the first box is actually coming out really soon.
Do you know where they're going to auction it off, or like where they're going to Venmo or Cash App or?
I will pull up he made a little picture thing about it, ad for it. I'll pull that up here in a little bit. But
I need to get me a box of some sort. Just saying.
Well, this box is pretty unique.
Is it what I'm thinking? Maybe.
Probably. This box is made out of the wood from the Conjuring House. Also has water from the well from the Conjuring House, and is using crystals dug up on the property of the Conjuring House.
Oof.
There's only, I think they're only going to make 7 of them.
Woo! Yeah, Cassie, that's damn.
Yeah, there's only going to be 7 of those, I believe. And I'm sure Justin's going to keep one. I'm sure Jay's going to keep one.
Go for it. You know what I mean? Like, in this economy, I can't afford stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, this, honestly, Jay's boxes, from my experience with them, they work really good.
Oh, I've seen videos of him. I think if it's the person that I'm thinking of. Yeah,
the cowboy hat dude, former Marine.
Sounds familiar. He's had videos out there of him using them, right?
Yeah. In fact, one of the devices we were using at the Carpenter's Mortuary was one of Jay Prather's boxes. The IDC, the direct link. But Jay makes some really good boxes, and Spurrier's teaming up with him. pretty a unique box. Who knows what you're gonna get from them?
Right.
Maybe cursed. Maybe Zach Baggins will buy one. Who knows?
We'll see. Add it to his collection.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got enough stuff, so who knows?
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about the Haunting History Paracon real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
If you're not familiar, this year I have decided to put together, finally, a Paracon. It is called the Haunting History Paracon. It's going to be held October 7th and 8th at the Elks Lodge in Joplin, Missouri. You can actually visit the Facebook page for it. There's an event for it. But also you can go to hauntinghistoryparacon.com and get all the information there. But we are adding not one, but actually 2 speakers.
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll be together. So
Awesome.
I will be officially announcing it within the next couple days as soon as I get they're putting together their bio for me, but or updating their bio for me. But you guys are hearing it here first.
Yeah.
Right here.
That's amazing.
We are going to have Katie and KD Stafford speaking at the Haunting History Paracon. If you're not familiar with KD and Katie, they supplied equipment for Portals to Hell with Jack Osborne and Katrina Weidman. Katie also worked on Ghosts of Morgan City, as well as supplied equipment for a couple other paranormal shows. But him, Dave Schrader, and Cindy Kaza have a new show coming out. I can tell you what the name of it is here in a second. The only reason I'm even saying what it is now is because like Travel Channel goofed up and they accidentally posted the thumbnail for the show, and they'd since taken it down. But yeah, I can tell you what it's gonna be, what it is, what the name of it is. It is Ghosts of Devil's Perch.
Huh.
It's, I don't know if you can. This is the thumbnail they had. I have connections. They sent me the damn thing. But anyway, it's like a town in I'm guessing Montana, or like one of those old towns. But yeah, it's gonna be great. But KD is actually gonna be one of the starring cast members of the show.
Nice.
So yeah, glad I pinned them down. Yeah, they're really great, down to earth people, guys.
Yeah, it'd be nice
So,
to
like,
finally meet them. So
don't be afraid to go up and talk to them and everything. They'll be there for both days. But yeah, you guys heard it here first. Katie and Katie Stafford are going to be at the Haunting History Paracon.
finally, some good news. No.
Yeah, some news on the haunting history front.
Yes.
Hopefully here soon we'll have more news.
Oh yeah, sure we will. We still got several months.
Oh yeah, I'm come July I'm going to be making a stronger push, putting stuff out there. So you guys will be hearing me whore myself to death.
Have you thought about reaching out to the news organizations again?
What? Do what now? News
Have you
organization?
thought about
What?
reaching out to the news organizations again?
Oh, I've already got stuff scheduled.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Get yourself
Oh,
out there.
Oh, I'm on top of it. I'm a whore, baby.
Well, that's usually what happens with being a whore, but it's fine.
It does happen. Hey guys, by the way, hit up the Haunting History store at hauntinghistory.threadless.com and pick you up some merch. Right there in the center, you see that one? That's a Boogeyman radio shirt. You want to support this show? Visit the store, get you a t-shirt. They come in various colors, so you have your choice. In fact, Heather in our chat actually has one of our shirts that she won during Paranormal Trivia, and she sent me a picture of it. Need to post it on the page. So, yeah, guys, you get a t-shirt there, take a selfie with it.
Yeah.
Send it to us. We'll post it on our page, and we'll get you on the spotlight, put you on the show wearing our gear. Yeah.
Awesome. Side note before we get in, I gotta say I watched the TV show. It was a limited run series, Midnight Mass on Netflix.
Heard of it?
Holy cow! Whoa! Just full of lots of craziness. It's really good. It's made by this. I think it's made and done by the same people who did Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor.
Okay.
Just wow, and I love both of those limited run series, and I can't wait for their next one. But yeah, I was pretty like shock and awe by the end of it. I mean, some stuff was predictable, but it's pretty paranormally. I'll just say it's just wild.
All right.
So
All right.
highly recommend it for sure if you guys are looking for something to watch. Each episode's about an hour long, so.
Speaking of which, since I've been house sitting, I've been binge watching Expedition Bigfoot.
Is that it's not Josh Gates, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No.
That's Expedition Unknown. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I've been binge watching Expedition Bigfoot. I've watched it all. It's 3 seasons long, and it's got some really compelling stuff on there. But the funniest damn thing to me was a lot of the stuff that they were presenting, or actually throughout the whole show, they were kind of floating around the theory that I had developed in Into the Light too. I was tickled fucking pink to see this. I made a post on Facebook about, I think I did, or I did a video thing
You
about,
did. I remember you watching that.
because over the past year I've been seeing like hints of people like gauging interest into the light phenomenon and comparing it with like Bigfoot sightings, and I'm like, guys, I had this shit out there 3 years ago.
Yeah. So does that upset you or does that make you happy?
It doesn't upset me at all. It kind of makes me happy. I just want them to go look at my stuff if they haven't yet and be like,
Yeah.
you know what?
This adds to it.
Validates. Yeah,
Yeah.
if it gives it validation, I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I'm tickled pink about it, and I'm appreciating seeing this stuff out there more. In fact, I even reached out to some of the members of the team and told them that they needed to go check out my film.
I mean, it's well worth it. So
Yeah, it was a good time. It's a good time. Might have
you
more.
know what else is a good time?
This might be a horrible lead-in, but what? False flag attacks.
Yes. Not even attacks, just events. False flag events.
They were attacks. Let's not sugarcoat it. They're attacks.
All right, that's fair.
You name me
So-
one false flag event that was not an attack. I'll wait.
That wasn't an attack.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to have an attack to blame somebody else on something. Or, hey, this person farted. No, I didn't. It was this person. Or the person, they go into a room, they fart, and they blame it on somebody else. Boom. I guess that's an attack of the nostrils, but.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Just saying, throwing it out there. You said an
Just
example.
your
I
lead
gave you
up
one.
into that was hilarious. That's
I
good
gave you
stuff.
one. All right, so what is a false flag? So a false flag is an operation or act committed with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility and pinning blame on another party. So basically, I do something bad, but I blame it on someone else. That's a false flag, or whatever. It's basically redirecting who did it and why, or claiming, like, if you don't know who actually did it, and then claiming it was somebody else, but it actually happened to be somebody else. That could be a false flag. We see throughout history that false flag events are used for political purposes or war gain.
It's a cause and effect, basically.
It is. It really is. Like, it's our emotion and our reactions, which, no surprise here, this is one that's gone around for many, many years, but a very famous conspiracy false flag event that a lot of people think about would be actually 9/11.
Yes.
Some people think it was an inside job. Some people think it actually happened. Did people actually die that day? Absolutely, people died that day. But
Now,
there's
people-
just what?
People are just that aren't conspiracy theorists or don't
Yeah.
even think about those kind of things. They would jump to the thought of, well, why would our own
Yeah.
country kill our own people? If you want to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs, right?
You really do. And our government's been doing that for years already, so...
And since you brought up 9/11, I want to throw out some conspiracy theories involving 9/11 that suggest why it was not a terrorist attack, but it was more of a false flag event. Like, let's see here. Now this actually comes from history, the History Channel.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So number one, the Twin Towers were brought down by explosives and not planes. Within just a few hours of the attacks on the Twin Towers, perhaps the most well-known of all the theories had already surfaced in an internet chat room. The author of that post likened the collapse of the North and South Towers to an act of controlled demolition due to the way the buildings fell so quickly and perfectly into their own footprint.
Yeah.
After the dust had settled, theorists raised further evidence in the form of witness testimonies citing reports of explosions being heard before the towers collapsed and debris visibly shooting out from the lower levels of the building. When the official report stated the towers fell due to severe structural damage caused by the planes and resulting fires, conspiracy theorists or truthers, as they are otherwise known, argued the fires did not burn for long enough, 56 minutes in the case of the South Tower, to cause the catastrophic collapses. Now, if you watch the videos, you can see like where the windows are being blown out on the lower floor.
Where like the plane goes in up on top, and then the very bottom, it seems like it shoots, like not the very bottom, but like levels down, it's like something shoots out, right?
Yeah, you don't have to have a trained eye to see. Like if you watch a video of a controlled demolition, how that building blows up, and then watch how the towers fall,
yeah,
you can see a lot of similarity.
It's so similar. It's weird.
Number two, a missile hit the Pentagon, not American Airline Flight 77.
Yep.
Early video footage and photos taken from the scene did not seem to show much evidence of a plane wreckage. Theorists maintain this was evidence that the Pentagon was not struck by Flight 77, but by a missile or unmanned drone instead.
I mean, they didn't. There was okay. The reason why I think that one's more likely is because there was no evidence of plane shrapnel anywhere.
Yeah, what was it? The hole in the side of the building did a perfect circle. There's no wing,
if there was,
no damage.
If a plane hit it, you're gonna see plane shrapnel all over the place.
Yeah.
Why does it look like an explosion from a build like that? Yeah, like a bomb.
That's another thing that they argue is that the structural damage to the building was too minor to have been made by a commercial airliner, and why the plane, who was piloted by an amateur, was even allowed to crash into the headquarters of the Department of Defense. You can't even fly within a certain range of the White House. Yeah. You think they're going to let you fly that close to the Pentagon?
They're going to shoot that sucker down.
Yeah, they will. They'll deploy their jets. And also the trajectory of which it hit doesn't line up to what a commercial airliner can do. Yep. United Airlines Flight 93 was shot down. According to official reports, the passengers on board Flight 93 attempted to take back the plane from the hijackers, and the subsequent struggle caused the aircraft to crash into an open field in Pennsylvania. As with the Pentagon attack, theorists state that little plane wreckage was actually discovered in the field, and the crash site itself was too small for an airliner that size, arguing instead that the plane was shot down by the military, and so it disintegrated over a larger area. Like it was shot to pieces.
Okay. But then why didn't they didn't come out and say that though?
No.
Did they? I didn't think so.
No, they're talking about theories suggesting that that's what happened.
Gotcha. Well, one of my other theories that I've heard throughout, a long time. The jet fuel, when it burns hot, is not going to burn hot enough and fast enough to go all the way down towards the lower part of the building and burn those beams. Why is it just specifically those beams? Right?
Right.
And when you look at pictures of the beams on the site, it looks like a controlled demolition blast compared to... Yeah. If you go back and see some of the pictures, it's wild.
That the accounting department responsible for the missing $2.3 trillion the day before. True.
Yeah, I'll say the whole insurance thing too. That's a very that was then didn't somebody take an insurance out on one of the
one of the companies that was in the building?
Yeah, there was an insurance policy thing that happened too, but I can't remember exactly which one it was. But yeah, it's all weird and shrouded in mystery.
Another one here. The United States government knew about the attacks and stood the military down.
Yeah.
A common belief amongst truthers is that the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, deliberately ordered their fighter jets to stand down and allow the hijacked planes to reach their targets. America seemingly had the most powerful air force in the world, but failed to intercept any of the planes on that day, which theorists believe is an indication of a government conspiracy to let the attacks go ahead. Why would they do such a thing? Well, theorists believe that the government wanted to use the attacks to justify an invasion on Iraq and Afghanistan to secure oil interests.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most telling part right there. I don't know if it was just oil. I think there was also a ploy to remove Saddam Hussein.
There was also drills going on that week before.
Yeah. And George Bush was having a meeting with Osama bin Laden's brother or cousin or something like that, a family member of the bin Laden family.
When?
During 9/11. Like
no,
he was.
No, he wasn't.
He was He was reading. He was reading
a school book to kids.
Yeah, but he had a meeting either that day or the day before or something like that.
Well, okay, but here's the weird thing. If you go back and listen to the audio of him in the classroom with the kids and the kids are doing their daily stuff, some of the words that are said by the teacher, like when the teacher's like, hey, point out this word or say this word, whatever, they're doing their vocabulary.
Yeah.
Some of the words are very interesting. Like I gotta
think about looking them up.
Yeah, I gotta see if I can find it.
There's one more on here that I'm gonna just kind of go over real quick. Insider traders knew about the attacks. In the days preceding the attacks, an extraordinary amount of put options, which are investments that pay off only when a stock drops in price, were placed on the stocks of two airlines, American and United, which happened to be the airlines hijacked during 9/11. As such, some theorists believe that the traders had been given advanced warnings of the attacks and were cashing in on the tragedy. Now, as far as the insider trading thing goes, that's like a huge thing that's even going on now. You look, we've been openly talking about the push for the electric vehicles. You know, the fact that Pelosi invested millions of dollars in electric cars last year, and then over this past year they've been making this giant push for people to use the electric cars. You look at the Super Bowl ads, the fact that the military, 1 month after she made those investments, the military signed a deal to use electric vehicles. And then, you got the gas prices right now, and then they're pushing to go green again.
Absolutely.
I mean,
how can we fix that? Oh, I don't know. Drilling on our own lands. Who won't let us do that? Oof, that is pretty crazy.
I'm sure everybody.
Strange dots. Sorry, yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure anybody flying, hell, even that day, there was probably a lot of airlines going out around that time. They probably made emergency landings, I would assume.
One of the stories that stuck with me was Seth MacFarlane was actually supposed to be on that flight.
Really?
The comedian, yeah. He was supposed to be on that flight. But something happened. I think he either was late or he woke up at a different time or something and obviously missed the flight. Well, good for him.
Happenstance, yeah.
Yeah. Also, isn't it interesting how metal beams can supposedly melt, but the IDs of the terrorists were found?
Yeah. I mean, because,
yeah, because,
terrorists carry ID, number one. And then number two, their passports are flame retardant.
Yeah, they don't. Oh, and let's also not forget, there was really no plane shrapnel throughout Ground Zero, but
yeah, because
that remains to be seen.
Yeah, there was that theory that it was a hologram that got projected in of the plane.
That would be
there's that-
like earliest Project Bluebeam
yeah.
like type
Oh.
stuff.
I don't know if it'd be earliest. I'm sure that shit was going on quite a while before.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Star Wars thing back in the 80s with Ronald Reagan, they had that
Yeah.
kind of technology. But
So, like, there was the theory that it was just a hologram of a plane and was actually a missile that hit the top portion, and the demolition of the building and all that.
so, it begs the question, like, how would they conceal, like, all the people that lost their lives in the building and on the planes? How would they just make people up? But then you have
No, I don't think so.
Yes, you think it was just real people?
I think it was real people.
I do too. No, I 100% do.
I don't think that they really cared.
Ah, okay.
I think they knew it would. That's the reason why there was false flags. It would create such an outrage that
Such emotion
all they would have to do is say, "Hey, we think we know who's responsible. Let's go get them."
Well, I mean, did you ever watch the movie The Watchmen?
Part of it.
Okay, so if I remember right, and it's been years since I've seen it, Dr. Manhattan does something basically to where it either blows up or annihilates some huge chunk of the city. Well, then it gets blamed on bad people, and it unites the entire city / world to come together and fight against a common evil or whatever it is. That's kind of what happened in 9/11. That's not kind of. That is what happened in 9/11. If you think about it, like that united the country. We're like, hey, we've been physically to me,
we've been attacked.
Yeah, it's very it's just like the events of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
after Pearl Harbor, America became one of the strongest countries in the world as far as unitedness.
Yeah. Notice on I-90 in New York State, soldiers were standing on the toll. It's looking into cars on 99. I knew something was about to happen. Huh.
Yeah, absolutely, Cassie. Could have been any plane, any building, any people. Absolutely.
But
that
doesn't explain how a plane was able to crash into the Pentagon, one of the most secure sites in the country.
Building 11. But it's either Building 11 or Building 13, one of the other buildings. But absolutely. It's crazy that
the Twin Towers did have federal offices in them. So
yeah, I agree, Cassie. That's the last time that the whole country felt united, because after that, then the war in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff, it one lie after another, just the American people stopped trusting their government again. So
yeah, and then they created all this division.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's been theories going around of more false flag attacks coming on that kind of scale. So,
I wouldn't be surprised with the recession that's about to hit. I think we're going to see something like that. I think we're going to see it really soon. It'll probably be the end of the year.
Building 7. Thank you, Dot. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense leading into November, the midterms.
Yep. Exactly.
But here we are. If we say this, it's just
write it down, guys.
Write it down.
During the midterms, we're going to have something happen that's going to be impacting who we elect.
It's a big possibility, because
I think there's going to be one person that's everybody's going to rally around, because they're going to be like the gung-ho kind of person.
Joe Biden.
No. Did we ever see footage of the plane going into the Pentagon?
No, because the cameras were off. Or no, they collected all the tapes.
There was a tape from the gas station, which you see this blur go in, but it doesn't look like a plane. It looks like a missile. At the trajectory it goes, it's flying a certain amount of feet off the ground that an airliner could not just come down and go straight. The trajectory was that of a rocket. And even people that were on the highway by the Pentagon said something flew over them so fast that it shook their cars. It was flying so low. And if it was an airliner, they would have seen that. They would have heard it, number one. They would have heard, because an airliner decibel, the decibel from the engines are extremely loud.
It's loud, yes.
You'll hear it. But a missile, you'll hear briefly, and
Yeah, so yes, there were cameras, but also the other cameras, security tapes were all pulled.
Yeah.
They pulled all the tapes, which you would think to, if one were to not convince, but if one were to tell the truth and say, "Oh, a plane flew in," they'd want to show the evidence of the plane flowing into the building. But
Now we're not the only ones that do false flag attacks.
oh
We're not
no,
the only
there's
one.
many countries out there that do it.
In fact,
Russia's a big one too.
you brought up Pearl Harbor, World War II.
Yeah, Japan.
Also had a false flag event that
Yeah.
kicked it off. Do you want to read about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
I was kind of surprised to hear about this one.
I was too. It caught me
I
off
just kind of
guard.
thought it was a progression and all that. And
Mhm. So let's see here. All right, so the Gleiwitz, or I'm gonna say Gleiwitz. I'm not 100% sure how to say it. Broadcasting station false flag attack was the staged event by the Nazi forces pretending to act as rebellious anti-German Polish activists on the eve of World War II at the start of September 1939. This attack against the German radio station would be used as a pretext for Nazi Germany to invade Poland. This operation was one of several attacks conducted by the SS in a series of unconventional events designed to provide an excuse for the outbreak of the war in the eye of German public opinion by creating the notion that Germany was falling victim to aggressive Polish campaign. The Nazis were able to create a justification to start the bloody war they were so anxious to get going in 1939. Which that says a lot. That says a lot that Germany had to fake an attack to get the support of their citizens. Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. And
hey, people don't know that their government's doing evil things until years later.
yeah, you don't realize when you're on the wrong side of the fence that you're on the wrong side of the fence until it gets to the tipping point.
Until it gets when you see the mass genocide of killing.
Yeah, when you see the concentration camp, then you
thousands.
think
Exactly.
maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Or when certain companies support concentration camps over in some other country that's persecuting Uyghurs.
Yeah, and the U.S. has even admitted to doing false flag attacks, false flag operations. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was probably one that was that was actually admitted by Congress or by our government, and that one sparked the Vietnam War.
Do you have that one pulled up ready to go?
Yeah, I've got it right here.
Go for it.
So in August of 1964, the USS Maddox destroyer was stationed in the Gulf of Tonkin off the coast of North Vietnam. On August 2nd, it was attacked by North Vietnamese torpedo boats, and then 2 days later, on August 4th, the Johnson administration claimed that it had been attacked again. After the second attack, the U.S. Congress passed a resolution almost unanimously allowing the federal government to take all necessary measures to protect the U.S. in Vietnam. So basically, that put us in the Vietnam War. It was as close to a declaration of war that the Johnson administration would ever get, but it was all based on a lie. After decades of public skepticism and government secrecy, the truth finally came out in the early 2000s. Nearly 200 documents were declassified and released by the National Security Agency, the NSA. They showed that there was no attack on August 4th. U.S. officials had distorted the truth about the Gulf of Tonkin incident for their own gains, and perhaps for Johnson's own political prospects. The lie jump-started a war that would claim 58,220 Americans and more than 3 million Vietnamese lives.
Jeez.
After the assassination of JFK, President Lyndon B. Johnson and Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara slowly increased military pressure on the North Vietnam, aiding the South in offensive strikes and intelligence gathering. So in 1964, which was, if there's theories out there about Lyndon B. Johnson being behind the assassination of JFK so he could become the president.
Yes.
And now you have this Gulf of Tonkin incident that helps kind of further his political aspirations by getting us into this war. In 1964, South Vietnam began conducting a series of attacks and missions along the North Vietnamese coast, backed by the United States. This plan, known as Operations Plan, or OPLAN 34A, was conceived and overseen by the U.S. Department of Defense and the CIA, but was carried out using South Vietnamese forces. After a series of unsuccessful missions, the OPLAN 34A shifted its focus from the land to the sea, attacking the North's coastal infrastructure and defense from the water. By 1964, the pressure on these waters had reached a boil, and North Vietnamese forces were not about to stand still against these operations. By the end of July, they were tracking the USS Maddox, which was stationed in international waters just a few miles outside of Hon Mae Island in the Gulf of Tonkin. The U.S. Navy destroyer didn't attack the North Vietnamese directly, but it did gather intelligence in sync with South Vietnamese attacks on the north. At the end of July, the USS Maddox was sent to patrol the waters off of the North Vietnamese coastline. It had been ordered to locate and identify all coastal radar transmitters, note all navigation aids along the DVRs, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam's coastline, and monitor the Vietnamese junk fleet for a possible connection. At the same time, it gathered its intelligence. The South Vietnamese Navy conducted strikes on multiple North Vietnamese islands. And while the Maddox remained in international waters, 3 North Vietnamese patrol boats began tracking the destroyer in early August. Captain John Herrick intercepted communications from these North Vietnamese forces that suggested they were preparing for an attack, so he retreated from the area. Within 24 hours, though, the Maddox resumed its normal patrolling routine. On August 2nd, Captain Herrick sent a flash message to the U.S. saying he had received info indicating possible hostile action. He had spotted 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats coming his way and once again began to retreat. The destroyer was ordered to fire warning shots if the enemy vessels closed within 10,000 yards. The torpedo boats sped up and the warning shots were fired. After these first shots, the North Vietnamese forces made their attack. Captain Herrick radioed that the USS Maddox was under attack, and U.S. officials ordered nearby aircraft from the USS Ticonderoga to fly in as backup. As the enemy vessels launched their torpedoes, U.S. forces attacked them from above and below, severely damaging the boats. The USS Maddox evaded the torpedo attacks, suffering only slight damage, and sailed off into safer waters. Now, the next day, the USS Maddox once again resumed its normal patrol, this time alongside another U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Turner Joy. The 2 destroyers stayed miles away from the coastlines in the Gulf of Tonkin. Still, U.S. intelligence reportedly intercepted messages indicating that the North Vietnamese forces were planning offensive operations on the Tonkin Gulf. Although August 4th was a stormy day, Captain Herrick ordered the 2 destroyers further out to sea in order to give them more space in the case of an attack. The U.S. vessels were now more than 100 miles away from the North Vietnamese coastline when their trackers started to light up. The Maddox reported seeing multiple unidentified vessels on their sonars coming at them from different directions. They disappear only to reappear seconds or minutes later in a completely different location. What does that sound like? UFOs? The U.S. vessels were afraid of attackers. Captain Herrick sent flash messages to U.S. officials while desperately trying to move the ships out of harm's way. But every time he hightailed it out of one area, another blip on the sonar would appear. The pilots from the Ticonderoga aircraft responded, flying overhead the destroyers for an hour and a half. However, with a bird's eye view, something wasn't adding up. As Commander James Stockdale, one of the pilots at the Gulf of Tonkin incident, later said, "I had the best seat in the house to watch that event, and our destroyers were just shooting at phantom targets. There were no PT boats there, nothing there but black water and American firepower. What the Maddox operators were probably hearing was the ship's propellers reflecting off its rudder during sharp turns, and the sonars were probably just catching the tops of the big waves. As the battle continued, Captain Herrick, too, began to have doubts about these attacks. He soon realized that the vessels they were tracking on the Maddox may have actually been the result of poor equipment performance and inexperienced sonar operators. In fact, the Turner Joy had not detected any torpedoes during the entire event. During the early hours of the morning on August 5th, Herrick sent a message to Honolulu that said, "Review of action makes many reported contacts and torpedoes fired appear doubtful. Freak weather effects on the radar and overeager sonar men may have accounted for many reports. No actual visual sighting by Maddox. Suggest complete evaluation before any further action taken." So despite the captain's efforts to correct the errors of his original messages, the U.S. officials took the idea of unprovoked attacks and ran with it. Shortly after the attack was reported, President Johnson made his decision to retaliate. He immediately appeared in front of the U.S. with a televised speech saying, "As President and Commander-in-Chief, it is my duty to the American people to report that renewed hostile actions against the United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply." He also said the initial attack on the destroyer Maddox on August 2nd was repeated today by a number of hostile vessels attacking two U.S. destroyers with torpedoes. Mere hours after the speech, Commander Stockdale was ordered to launch an airstrike against North Vietnamese forces as retaliation for their supposed attacks the evening before. Stockdale later said that we were about to launch a war under false pretenses in the face of the on-scene military commander's advice to the contrary. Let's see. 2 days later, on August 7th, Congress approved the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, which gave the president authority to increase U.S. involvement in the war between North and South Vietnam. President Johnson signed this into law 3 days later, privately remarking that the resolution was, quote unquote, like grandma's nightshirt. It covers everything. And that's how we entered the Vietnam War.
Yay. Gosh, what year was that? When did we get into the Vietnam War?
Was that Stockdale that ran as VP with Ross Perot? I don't know. I don't remember that. I don't remember that far back.
Have you ever heard of Operation Northwoods?
It sounds familiar.
At the height of the Cold War in 1962, a joint effort by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Joint Chief of Staff of the United States government gave birth to Operation Northwoods, a poignant reminder that evil lurked in both sides of the global conflict between East and the West. Thankfully, this operation never went ahead, as it was rejected by the Kennedy administration. Thank God for the Kennedy administration. It would have involved the CIA and other government operatives committing acts of terrorism against American civilians and the military targets, placing the blame for these on the Cuban government in order to justify a military intervention in Cuba.
It happens, guys. But
hey, look, you know what? Let's I've got more on the U.S. government and stuff, but let's talk about one that was actually not the U.S. government and just a person, right? So, events following 9/11, which some of you may remember this. I don't remember this because of how young I was. You'll definitely remember that in 2001, the anthrax attacks in the United States, which took place over the weeks following September 11 attacks. It consisted of similar letters containing anthrax spores, which were sent to news outlets, two senators, Tom Daschle and Patrick Leahy, or whatever, killing 5 people and infecting 17 in the process. At the time, the attacks were portrayed as the work of Al-Qaeda, but recent reports showing both George W. Bush and his Vice President Dick Cheney were desperate to pin the attack on Taliban. However, it was soon discovered by the FBI the attacks had been carried out with a military strain of the virus, proving it had been, in fact, a false flag attributed to lone nut anthrax researcher Bruce Ivins. I remember hearing about the anthrax scare,
Yeah.
but I don't remember how severe it was.
Well, the thing about all that is, like, of course it's going to be in house, but like,
Oh yeah,
when the government makes it feel like, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, when the government makes themselves out to be the victim, people will respond.
yeah.
Nowadays, in this time of day, like, it's split. Like, some people will be like, "Oh, fucking good," and then some people will be like, "That's awful,"
Yeah. Well, I got a great example of that one. So, did you know that the Boston Tea Party was actually a false flag event?
Really,
Yeah, because they dressed up as Mohawk Indians.
that's true. Yeah,
So,
they placed the blame.
technically, but here's the thing. They pretty much knew it wasn't actually Mohawk Indians after the thing happened.
Right.
But, so they tried to make it a false flag event.
Now, something that just popped in my head too. You were talking about how the government was trying to pin the anthrax thing on the Taliban.
Yeah.
What's fucked up about that is we created the Taliban.
Yeah.
The CIA created the Taliban. I don't know if all of you guys out there listening are familiar with this, but the CIA actually created the Taliban. That is of our doing.
And we just rearmed them.
Yeah, we just rearmed them. We created them, then we attacked them, and now we rearmed them because they're not doing anything to us. They were not a threat. They were never a threat.
Hey, if you let us leave without killing any of our people, we'll give you all this weaponry. Of course, that's not exactly what happened, but I'm just saying. Kind of convenient, don't you think?
Even out in the Middle East, there's extremists, religious extremists. Yeah, Al Qaeda is the with the CIA in their name.
Al Qaeda.
But even out there's going to be extremists. There's going to be military radicals. There's going to be religious extremists. Same like here in the States.
Weren't we really
have our
good
own
friends with
Antifa.
Saddam Hussein for a while in the 90s?
For a while.
Yeah.
We weren't good friends with him. I mean, we did kind of have the Iraqi war, but
yeah, I could have sworn that we were friends. And anyways,
certain people were friends with them.
Yeah,
let's just put it that way.
That's a good point.
Some people were friends with him, others were not.
Just like how this current administration's buddy with Syria now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things about the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
And our government that does not add up. If you guys want to check out that information, do some research on it, especially with in regards to Hunter Biden's laptop. Why is that not being talked about?
He's on the energy board of a company that's where? Oh, right. In Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah. And
interesting.
And didn't Iraq was funded by USA for the war against
and aren't we sending them billions of dollars, but not other countries aren't really doing that? Oh, right.
And also this is a big thing too, because Russia supplied oil to most of Europe, and now they're in this war. They have stopped supplying them with oil, gas. So guess who's doing that now? We are actually sending our reserves over there, and that's why our gas prices have gone up. It's because we're sending our reserves. But there's been a VP executive. I don't know if it's true or not. I do know the name on the thing is legitimately an executive with BP. But the thing that's been circulating is supposedly written by him, where he's talking about how we have enough oil. We produce enough oil. We shouldn't be seeing high gas prices.
Yes.
So somewhere in there, there's some kind of pretense that is being driven, some kind of some idea that is being driven by our government, trying to tell everybody, hey, this is what's going on. And then they're doing completely the opposite, or they're doing something that they wanted to do and just using us as fuel to be able to do it.
You know what? I'm so glad we saved 15 cents on hot dogs last July. So glad we did.
I mean, we could also talk about the pandemic, how it was a major false flag. But I think maybe we should say that for the After Dark show. A lot of modern day things could be seen and viewed as a false flag attack. You know, school shootings for gun control. What? Jussie Smollett for racial divide. A lot of things that are out there that could be viewed as false flags. And Gull Island in Alaska can supply the world's oil and gas needs for almost 200 years itself. Yep. And
yeah, that's why I don't believe that. So we are sending oil to other people. Hey, we're also buying oil from other countries, and that's why the price of the barrel is like $117, $118. That is why, to me, while we are paying for it.
Well, in the first quarter of this year compared to the first quarter of last year, the income for some of these oil execs or oil companies has more than or about tripled.
Yeah.
You know, the rich are getting richer on that. But I think, guys, if you haven't signed up on our Patreon yet, you should go sign up on our Patreon.
Highly recommend.
Become a patron member. There we continue our conversations and discussion on anything that we're talking about. So kind of a show after show, where we can let our hair down and say things that we really mean. Say the things that you really mean.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like, you got to think too that this administration promised no new fracking, no new drilling on oil on government lands, and they would halt the sales and leases, which has actually happened. So
another thing we could point out, and we'll just talk about it on Patreon, is the upcoming food shortage.
Oh,
the factories and food processing plants that have been burned.
Yeah, and a record amount, by the way.
Yeah, and then I think it was you that posted the video about the 300 head of cattle.
Oh, it's not just 300; it's over 10,000.
10,000 now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I do not believe at all that the heat is what's killing those cows. I do not believe that. It gets hot in Texas, gets hot in New Mexico, gets hot in Arizona, and cows are just fine.
We'll talk about it all on Patreon, on the After Dark show.
The Dust Bowls, man.
Come on. I have an idea in regard to the cattle thing, and this was something that I predicted about 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years.
They were killing off animals, and farm animals, if they tested positive for COVID. So that was a thing.
Well,
anyways,
there's going to be something else called. We're going to see another hoof and mouth disease outbreak, I bet.
Kind of like the swine flu? Oh, not swine flu. What's the
mad cow?
There was some animal, it was only prevalent in animals, but you had to kill the animals or else you were eating some disease or something like that.
Mad cow disease.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm glad. Yeah.
Which is basically hoof and mouth disease.
Oh, okay.
Which is something that I'm going to talk about on the After Dark regarding food shortages, because of a certain building that is now outside of Kansas City.
You should just kill all bats.
It wasn't even bats. It wasn't even bats.
Kill all the bats. There's no coronavirus ever again. Ever.
Does that include old bats?
Those are already dying, but sure. From coronavirus.
Well, they're still in office.
Oh.
Those old bats.
40 to 60 years worth of being in office. Oof.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this show. We don't have a topic planned for next week, but we will figure something out. It'll be cool. Maybe it'll be another trivia night.
Hey.
Or game night. Huh?
We haven't done that in a while.
We haven't. So join us next week for something fun and exciting and sexy. And
easy.
And if you haven't yet, again, I implore you to join us on Patreon. We'll continue our discussion over there. And guys, we appreciate you. We love you. Have a good night, and wear protection.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.